Thank you very much for this. Yeah, it's a pleasure to be here with you and sharing my knowledge and learning it with you. The topic is soft power with hard cash and the role of port diplomacy in the reemergence of Pax Sinica. I'm writing this with my student Madeleine, who unfortunately is not here today. First of all, why is it, in our view, a relevant topic? Because 10 years approximately after the Belt and Road being launched, we see that there are lots of studies regarding the BRI in both its maritime, land, and even digital Silk Road, and nowadays actually as well to other corridors, Green Silk Road and Health Silk Road. So we have 5 main corridors. Despite we believe that soft power has been actually lacking in terms of studies when connected to the maritime Silk Road. And of course, we have this as an added value because what China is doing in terms of sea corridors, expanding its naval and also civil power, I would say, it's based to a large extent on a soft power. We see, according to literature review, that there is consensus among authors regarding the Belt and Road in both its land and maritime corridors as China's greatest foreign policy tool under Xi Jinping. So it is its flagship project, together with the China Dream, of course. But I would say this is bigger, and sometimes we say that it's not producing real effects. But if we think the BRI, it's based on an holistic and long-term, I would say, project. China projects for the long run. I would say that 10 years is not enough time to really assess what a millennial power is doing in the world. I would say we will have to wait a bit more time. Authors authors position very slightly when it comes to looking at the BRI or to its specific maritime Silk Road as pursuing purely commercial goals. When it comes to commercial and geopolitical goals at the same time, literature says this is actually another possibility happening on the ground. So port diplomacy and the implementation of the Pax Sinica, our topic, we argue that Pax Sinica has already existed, and then the world knew several other paxes, such as even the Roman Pax, then Pax Britannica, Pax Americana, and now it's coming again to Pax Sinica. And China is actually learning with other powers, such as the US, that it is not enough to have hard power. You need to have a soft power to complement it. So despite China has already been for a long time a continental power, with the exception of some sea incursions by Admiral Zheng He, it's now turning to the sea, understanding that piracy and insecurity also comes from the sea. So now China is expanding, both based on military and hard power, but also on soft power to increase and to project its power on the sea. Our research question: how does soft power associated with port diplomacy contribute to the reemergence of Pax Sinica? Here we considered as time frame the time when Xi Jinping assumed this task as president of role as president of People's Republic of China, and we decided to end in 2023 because it was the 10 years ceremony and China celebrated. Despite of course, we could continue until nowadays due to some important developments. This is actually open. We can still modify. And our goals are to specifically understand how this soft power inherent to the maritime Silk Road helps China to reshape the maritime network associated to its 21st century maritime Silk Road. And we have as a theoretical framework I would say the seminal work by Joseph Nye. It was a book translated to Chinese, Bound to Lead in the 90s, that captured first Chinese attention to soft power. And then China realized the importance of developing its own soft power with Chinese characteristics based on the Beijing consensus, coming top down, contrary to the Western type of soft power that comes from civil society. And it's composed of several individual freedoms that composes that makes, at the end of the day, the Western soft power, US and the EU soft power. But in this case, the Chinese are giving a bigger attention to something that was neglected by Nye himself. That is the economic diplomacy. Soft power, the ability to admire someone or a state due to the strength of its economic diplomacy without falling necessarily on hard power, because the coercion and some sanctions that can be hard power it is not soft power. So China developed more this idea of economic diplomacy, and it is why it is so interesting for several countries around the world, including those in the so-called controversial string of pearls, where China is actually trying to access places or bases, depending on how we see it. Now, we divided our paper here in the following sections: traditional hegemons in the section 1, where we summarized the leadership of Pax Britannica, Pax Sinica, Pax Americana, So, and the idea of a new coming leadership trying to challenge the previous one. That's what is happening actually nowadays with the US and China. So this is a déjà vu, an encounter, a meeting where both they are not in a specific war, military war, but they are already involved in a trade war. But we never know. We have heard about Taiwan, our colleague, but it can be Taiwan, it can be other important assets in South China Sea where are important tensions. And this can evolve from the trade war to a more direct and military war. The section 2, the role of the Belt and Road soft power, multilateralism a la carte. China has come lately to multilateralism. It has always been more partisan of bilateralism, and it continues to be, but it has achieved a sophisticated multilateralism, something that works in 16+1, now 14+1 platform for dialogue with certain European countries, the Asian Infrastructure Investment Bank. Most Western countries criticize it, but several of them are now part of it, even against Washington's will. So this has been China has been producing a very interesting and sophisticated soft power, despite with, of course, Chinese countries.
You have 1 minute.
Yeah, I'm reaching the end. Thank you. And here, port diplomacy and the importance you see here, a picture on the several ports China is trying to have access or has already access worldwide. And my main conclusions, so militarization of the ocean is the most obvious part of revisionism, I would say. This is a benign revisionism doing by China, but it's based on both civilian and military facilities. They both converge to achieve the so-called Pax Sinica. So, and the final conclusion is that multilateralism is important, but it's mainly being pushed because of Western marginalization of China. This is a way that China has to counter this isolation, and it's doing very well. By the way, future investigations, they could
Yeah.
perfectly accompany this topic. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you very much.